This is our treasurer's report, national report. It hasn't changed much. Um, we are actually, we have a large reserve that we do for replacing new equipment and things that we need in the lab. And actually, we will be getting a new iMac computer. One of the latest iMac computers will be coming into the lab shortly. So for all you Apple aficionados would like that. And next year, we're planning on replacing a lot of the PCs when Windows 12 comes out. And Windows 12 is supposed to have a lot of AI elements in it, and it will require some different hardware, and so we will have a transition there as well.
Just what we needed, Shelley, was more AI.
Yeah. And membership is slowly growing, as it does each year. We're now up to 1,607. So we're at a good number. We did lose our treasurer who passed away, unfortunately, last month. Some of you may have known Howie Hubstad. He used to sit in the back corner there, and he would help people sign up with their dues and register for new, new memberships. So we are looking for a new treasurer. If any of you have skills, the only skill that's really required is that you can balance your checkbook. So you can help us balance ours. But if any of you are interested in doing that, we are in need of a new treasurer. We do have a free computer we can offer you to use, so you don't have to use your own computer to work with it. We can give you a nice all-in-one computer. So if you're interested, just talk to any of us either here today or at the lab. Yeah, I know a lot of you like to make complicated passwords and then you can't remember what they were. Okay, we have two user groups currently. One is an Apple users group, a subgroup of the computer club, and we also have the photography group. The Apple group meets on the first Tuesday at 9 o'clock in the lab, and the photography group meets on the first Wednesday at 7 in the evening in the lab. So if any of you are interested in either of those, just feel free to show up. And here's our schedule. Our lab is open on Mondays and Thursdays from 9 to 12. Be aware we are going to have a holiday shutdown. We will be closed the week of Christmas, so Monday the 25th will be closed because the building's closed. Thursday the 28th will also be closed. And then on January 1st, New Year's, the building is closed as well, but we will be closed and we'll reopen on Thursday, January 4th. And for those of you who want to come to the lab today after our meeting is over, we may have an hour or so, and we'll have the lab open after this meeting. Okay, here's our class schedule. Some of you may know that we didn't have we had a hiatus during the month of December, giving some of our instructors a little break from the schedule. We will be resuming our classes in January. So we have a full schedule of classes on iPhones and Android phones and cutting the cord and a whole bunch of other things. So look forward to that. And if you would like different classes, does anybody have any requests for more classes you'd like to see? Feel free to shout it out, and we'll see if we can add some classes or just talk to us. Okay, as far as what's going on in Sun City, December 18th at 7 o'clock, there's a Carpenters holiday concert. A very good Carpenters tribute band will be here. And then on the 20th at 1 o'clock, we're going to have the dueling pianos, Felix and Fingers. And there are a lot more things, so just check your lifestyles and be blessed. And of course, I want to wish everybody a happy holiday, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy New Year. And after our presentation today, we will, of course, take questions, and then after that, we're going to do a few of the roundtables that we've been doing the last couple of months. So it'll be a little bit smaller this time. We're going to have the middle table right here in the front. We will have demonstrations of 3D printing. And some of you may have been here last month when Ken Cozy presented his retrieval from space presentation. And he had a model of the Osiris Rex, and he's brought that back again. So if you want to see that, you have a second chance to see that as well. That'll be at this middle table here. Then over at the end table, those of you who want to talk about AI or anything related to artificial intelligence, you can meet at that table on the end. There's a label on that table as well. And then in the middle, right near the behind the microphone, you guys want to raise your hands. We've got a table called Tech Talk. So if you want to talk about anything else, just meet at that table. And then you can bring up any topics that you would like. Okay, and our feature presentation for today is going to be 3D printing. And when for a treat, we have two folks from the Huntley Area Public Library, Doug Cataldo, who's the head of marketing, and Alex Wyman is the creative studio specialist, who works a lot with 3D printing, and he's going to do a presentation on 3D printing. So let's give a warm welcome to Alex and Doug.
Good morning. How's everybody today? It's been about a year since we've been here, so thanks for having us back, first of all. And I don't know if you know, but there's a creative studio at the library, and I know some of you have used it, but how many of you? Could you show me your hands and give me a little sampling? Awesome. So you know my friend here, Alex Wyman. He's our creative studio specialist. And when we're done today, he'll answer any questions that you guys have. But we have a little video we want to show you first. And hopefully this will give you a little sampling of what we can do in that room. That cut off. I don't know if it's copied properly. That cut off a little early. That's okay. Our creative studio is pretty awesome. Alex says a great place to work and operate. It has four amazing 3D printers. They are different types of printers, and we'll get in a little bit about what each one of those can do for you. And if you can look at the picture with the tables, you'll see that the corner there, that little black part, that is a used laser cutter, and that's something we'll talk about today as well. The room is incredible. It offers the entire community a place where they can come in and have an idea in their head, or a project that they're working on, or a project they're thinking about, and bring it to fruition. And whether that's using a die cutter or a sewing machine or a 3D printer or a laser cutter, all of those things are possible. And the best part about it is most of them are free. The only thing we ever recoup cost on is the actual filament and resin that we use on a 3D printer. So this is what's inside that room. And I've been to Sun City probably 40 times. I don't know if any of you have seen me do a presentation with your neighborhood. And I love coming out here because I get that wow factor when people see some of the things on this list because they didn't know we had them. And you know, as good a job as we can do marketing them, not everybody's looking at what the Huntley Area Public Library is doing. So we love opportunities like this to come out and talk with you. But you can see like quilting and crocheting machines, a button maker, a laminator, a singer inspiration sewing machine, a serger. We also have digital media conversion tools. And I'm going to tell you all flat out, it's that whole section of items is based on Ken and your guys' computer club. We came in and we looked at what you had, and we wanted to duplicate those services because we know that sometimes the room gets used a lot and you can't have access to those machines all the time. So we wanted to offer you an alternative, but we also wanted to bring that to the rest of our community, the younger audience, and the families that don't have access to this stuff. I think you guys have an incredible facility, and to have those things available to you just by being a part of your computer club is a true asset. So all the things you can do in that room, like converting vinyl records to digital and cassettes to digital and 8mm reels and film negatives or slides and scanning multiple photos, you can do all that at the library too. You just need to make an appointment with Matthew. And then as far as 3D printing, you can see we have the Prusa machine, the Creality machine, the Elegoo Saturn, and the Elegoo Mars. We also have a Sculpto 2 filament printer, which is kind of a little portable one. And then we have wash stations, and we even have a 3D scanner. So if you have a project and you want to try to duplicate something, and I believe somebody in our audience actually just did that, it came out pretty well. You can take that item and attempt to scan it, and then see if you can print a duplicate of it. So all of those things are available in this room. The one caveat, though, is you do need to make an appointment. So whether you have a project in mind or you just want to see how some of these things work, all you need to do is email or call my friend Alex right here, and you can do it. So let's talk about 3D printing, because that's why we're here. With these machines, they do very different things, actually, but the end result is kind of similar, I would say. But there are 3D printers that use something called filament. There's also 3D printers that use resin. With filament, it uses a process called fused deposition modeling. It's called FDM. With this method, it's a filament, and I think Alex brought some, and you'll be able to see. It kind of looks like colored spaghetti on a spindle roll, and it goes through a feed, and it comes out, and it heats it up through a nozzle, and then it comes down, and it builds your model layer by layer. And you know, this is a great way for not just hobbyists to enjoy making things, but it comes to creative use for people trying to build demos for products or samples or prototypes with functional parts before they actually make a mold and make the actual item. So one of the key advantages of filament is that it comes in various types. So if you need something soft, you can use a certain type of filament. If you need something durable, you could use a different type of filament. And now there's even flexible filament where you can actually like bend it and it's almost like soft vinyl. It's an amazing, amazing process. And what it'll let you do is create really, really intricate models. And you can look at the two pictures there, and they're vastly different, but they were both done using filament printers. The top one is a simple vase or candle holder, and the bottom one is an intricate mask that was used in the television show The Mandalorian. Okay, so that's how in depth you can get with a 3D printer. And depending on what your hobbies are or what your creative process is, if you can get a file that's an STL that you know is 3D ready, this guy can print it for you pretty much. So the other type of printing is done with resin, and it's a completely different process, and it gets you a much more defined print. It's incredible in precision and detail. It uses a technology called stereolithography. They call it SLA. And when you do this, you can see by these pictures how intricate and how clean these models are. They are literally, you trim those pieces, those support pieces, and you're ready to go, whether you're adding paint or you're just using the basic color to put your prototype together, and you are good to go. But it actually takes a really interesting path to get this liquid to get to be an actual solid, and it's exposure to UV light. And it works in a process where when it does that, it's photopolymer resin, and it solidifies as the light, as it's exposed to the light. Now, the other difference between filament and resin is, like filament you can touch with your hand and you don't really need to worry about it, but resin can be an irritant, and it's actually, you're not meant to, have your fingers dipping in it or touching it. And when the process is done, it actually needs to be washed and cured. So when you get done with the model, it goes into a second machine where it's washed and cured. And then once it's cured for a certain amount of time, you're good to go. And you can paint it, you can, put it together with the other pieces that you printed, and you're ready to go. It's actually an amazing, amazing process. And like I said, the details on this type of print are unparalleled. Now, if you want to do these things, this is the guy you want to talk to, okay? I'm going to keep this very simple because we know you guys have questions. So with the laser cutter, the 3D printers, any of these things that are of that technology base, Alex is the person that you're going to contact. You can email him or call him anytime to make an appointment. And that's, like I said, if you have a project ready to go, if you're thinking about a project, or if you just want to see how these machines operate, no problem, call him. If you want some inspiration for projects, these are 3 great websites that you can check out. There are free items on all of them. Thingiverse.com is all free. Printables.com, all free. Cults 3D has free models, but some of them are also, there is a cost involved if you want to get them. But they're all great projects, and everything you can think of is there. Like if you need a bolt for a certain thing, odds are somebody else had that problem and they made it. If you need the centerpiece for your picnic table and it broke out, odds are somebody already made it. If you want that Mandalorian helmet, odds are somebody already made it. So take a look at the sites, those 3 particular. And then if you're looking to kind of design things and try your hand at designing things, I highly recommend Tinkercad. Tinkercad.com is a completely free program online. It's presented by Autodesk, and you can create your own 3D models and save them to your hard drive or to a flash drive and bring them over for Alex to print. The good thing about it is there's a lot of pre-made items in there already, like threaded screws and hexagons and all different shapes and all different ideas, so you can kind of put them together. And it's got a pretty easy learning curve, and on the left side of the menu when you log in, there's tutorials for how to use the program. So it's a really good asset. Now, all of this information is in the brochures that we brought. So I don't know if you heard me before we got started. There's all kinds of things up here. We brought some, it's the holiday season, we brought some gifts for you. So please take everything. I don't want to bring anything home with me if I don't have to, except Alex's business card holder. And but the brochures are up there, and they have this information in them if you have any questions. And really, that is what we can tell you today. And I'm going to open it up to questions for me and Alex.
What are the dimensional capabilities? High, low, width?
So for our Prusa machine, which is our main default FDM printer, which you'll most likely see running, it's the black and orange colored one. It's about 8 inches by 8 inches by 8 inches, give or take, since they usually say in centimeters or metric. For our SLA printers, we have 2 different size ones. It should be about 5 inches by 4 inches, and the height is about 6 inches for our smaller one. And for our bigger one, the Saturn, if I remember correctly, it's about 6 by 4 by 6, give or take like half an inch or so. And I do have the capability, if you have like a very big model, let's say you're trying to build like a 1/6 inch or 1/6 scale of some Corvette car or something like that, I do have the capability of cutting it up in pieces. So then if it's too big for our build plates, you can print it up in pieces and then glue it together, and then, hand paint it or do whatever you want.
And I can happily tell you that we're in the process of getting one that is much, much larger that you won't have to cut pieces.
I've actually bought that one personally for myself at my house, and I actually have a piece that I printed, and it is actually the thigh piece from an Iron Man armor. So if you guys wanted to take a look at that, certainly can. And I see someone raising their hand over there. What is your question?
The services that you offer. There's a portion of Sun City that is now part of the Huntley Library. We're in Hampshire Township, and so we're part of the Hampshire Library. Are your services available to us as well, as long as we have a Hampshire card, or?
Yes, so how I charge for our 3D printing services, all you have to do is register your library card, so you can have a library card basically anywhere in Illinois. You just have to make sure it's valid, and then you would just go to the checkout desk and then talk to one of my coworkers, they'll register it, and then you're in our system, and then I can place the charge for the 3D printing. But otherwise, any of the other stuff that's in the creative studio or even for the digital conversion, you don't really need a library card for. You would just call me or my coworker Matthew, and then we'll set an appointment, work with you, just trying to find the best time because I'm pretty flexible, and then we'll just help you with your project.
Thank you.
Yep. Yes.
I am unclear what exactly.
I can't hear you.
I am unclear exactly what we bring to you in order to create a finished product.
So on some of the websites that Doug just showed and on our brochures, basically on the website, let's say you wanted to print up a little cat. There would be a download button, and then it'll just go to your computer. Or if you're unable to do that, you can always like copy the URL, email that to me, or even come in person, like set up an appointment, and then we can see about trying to find it on my personal computer, and then I can download it myself, and then we can go there to trying to, print your model.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Not all of Sun City is in the Huntley Library District. Can we have to be on the outside looking in, or can we participate?
So my door is always open, like when I'm in the creative studio. So if you're just coming in just to pick up a book or just wanting to talk to me, you certainly can, but you can also make appointments with me. If it's going to be involving 3D printing, which is what I charge for, you just have to make sure your card is registered, which is, I believe, should be free. And then, you can go wild with our 3D printing services.
Any more questions?
Any other questions?
Yeah, just go to there, thank you.
And I was just going to tell you, like I mentioned in the presentation, the only thing we truly charge for in that room is the resin, and it's a residual cost for us to recoup the cost of the materials, is the cost of the actual resin or filament, which is usually a pretty minimal cost.
Yes.
That's great. Press the button.
Does this work?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay, thanks. Last meeting, I was invited to give a presentation about the spacecraft and I had gone to see Alex and Doug, and they said, sure, we can print a copy of the satellite. I said, well, that's great. And sure enough, they did. And all the instruments are here. All the instruments on the spacecraft are in there. Isn't that amazing? And here's the solar panel. All I've got to do is glue it together still. I'm not, I have trouble painting a wall. So it's going to be an interesting challenge. But these are all available. They did an excellent job, and I'll put it up there for you to take a look at. I noticed you've got a number of other samples up there too, and they're really amazing. When I walk by, when I go to the library, I walk by his office because he's got all that stuff in the window. It's kind of like a toilet.
So Ken, did you get the formula for printing that from NASA?
Yes, that was a beautiful part of it. I asked Alex, he said, well, check the website. So I did. I inquired and sent an email on that. And they said, sure, we do have a program that does it because they made these up for themselves too out in Cape And so that's what I did. I went to see Alex, and we copied down the file, and sure enough, he did it. But when he did it, it's interesting. I think you saw in that one mask, there are hundreds of little straws like that come out the bottom of the TV, right? And so something's got to hold this up, right? It just doesn't lay down. It just doesn't lay down. So as a result, there's hundreds of those little things, and he snipped them all up. Good thing he did. I would cut my fingers probably. But anyhow, so you can see that it's a pretty good model of the original. Many of you saw it last month. One other thing that just occurred to me this morning, this is all new, is that I showed you before those little nanotechnology coins. I have a sample that I'll have available for you to take a look at too, but they're not as good as his samples here. But those are three-dimensional printing too. What they do is they do it with hot nickel. They make little characters that are 2 nanometers wide. That's really pretty small. There are hundreds of nanometers, 1,000 nanometers in a hair, one of your hairs. And so that's just amazing, and they do that. And that's why I put on a spacecraft that went up. It's supposed to go up this next month to the moon. And it has on there the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, the Bible, so many more things you can put on there. It's just a little coin, just a tiny little coin. So those are the kind of, that's three-dimensional too. It just occurred to me, it's really three-dimensional because the letters are all raised in 3 dimensions. But his examples and what he does there is just amazing. I was able to spend a little time with them to do that. So, are you going to explain some of the samples then?
Yeah. To expand upon what Ken said, sorry, this microphone is a little iffy. The library prides itself. You hear a lot of companies talk about, how they offer unparalleled service and things like that. And, those are just big words, but truly, our library does offer incredible customer service. We try to make everyone happy that comes in our doors. And Alex does an incredible job of that, trying to make sure that you get what you paid for, or you get what you wanted when you bring that project in. So let your imaginations do the talking, find that project you're looking for, make an appointment with him, come see him, and we'll be sitting right over here with some of those examples so you can see exactly what the 3D printers are capable of and our laser cutter, and we're happy to answer some more personal questions if you're a little shy and you don't want to ask them while everybody's around. So come on up and see us. And does anybody have any more direct questions right now?
Yes.
Okay.
Are there more scanning devices that you're planning to add to your portfolio of equipment so that you can actually scan an item that you may not, that one may not be able to get a formula for?
I do know some 3D scanners, and I'm keeping an eye out for them. I'm just currently waiting on some more reviews because I don't like buying brand new hardware or tech that has been out to the market, because sometimes these companies like shipping them out before they're even ready to be fully operational. And there's been some 3D printers. They have a mechanical side that works great, but the firmware has not yet been developed. So I'm just waiting until a little bit longer.
And on another note with that too, there are several 3D scanners that are in the $500 to $700 range that say they do certain things, but when you actually put them to the test, they don't exactly come close to matching that. And the ones that when you see, if you go to even if you go to the mall and you see those crystal sculptures where they have the 3D rendering of your picture in there, those are $5,000 to $7,000 scanners. So it's not that we wouldn't get that, but I'm sure you guys would agree with us, right? As a governing body that's tax funded, I don't know if you really appreciate us spending $7,500 on a good scanner. And if you do, send a letter to my boss, because but I'm just being honest with you as to we really try to get the best technology we can get for the price, and it's just not there yet. The scanners aren't there yet. They're getting close, but they're not there yet.
Just a quick question. You mentioned about like your patio table, the rain breaking or something, and you could get that scanned. How durable or how strong is the filament or the material? And would it hold up, I guess?
So we have two different types of materials. We have the generic PLA, which is the most common used one, but then we have a stronger material, which is called PETG, higher melting point, more durable. That's really the only tougher material we have on hand. Most likely what you're going to be using it for should be fine. I mean, on my end through the program, there's ways I can make it even more durable. It's just, communicating with me, finding out what you're trying to do, possibly what it's going to be used for, and then I can try to make it as tough as possible.
Thank you. Just seemed like replacement part. That sounded
Yeah,
cool.
and an interesting thing is most regular PLA is actually made out of corn. It's actually biodegradable. So it's very, you would definitely want to do something that you're looking long term to probably do PETG. And then, you can take it to the next step. So once you get it printed, you can coat it with different things or seal it with different things and paint it with different things. And whatever epoxy you use, to put it together, to put it back together, will help as well to keep it durable and permanent.
Great, thank you.
The various materials that you have there, they're all filament, but I think when I was over there, I saw a variety of colors. And will all of those materials, except, let's say, paint or varnish or whatever, for a finished coating?
Yes, you could paint over it. If you are going to be painting, most likely I would say we should print it like in white, gray, or black. But for the best painting for it to adhere to, I would say just spray paint it with like some Rust-Oleum or some primer, just to make sure you're not wasting so much paint, just layering it to get that certain color. I know that with the resin models that I print for like little tabletop stuff, or if you're like a trained enthusiast, like the little miniatures, that takes up paint really well, and it's really easy to sand. I have people who come in for like a tabletop game and they use that a lot. So yeah, just a primer first, spray paint or some other material, and then you're ready to go.
Is the curing process to allow volatiles to evaporate off of the resin?
Yes, so for the resin printing, it doesn't cure it 100% because as it's printing, it's basically sitting in a vat of liquid. So if it does 100%, you may be losing the details since it's surrounded by the liquid. And there's a term called light bleed, where it's just, light gets out. So by washing off all that excess resin and doing the final cure, you're able to really get all those details and make sure it's durable.
So you're indicating, when you showed the video, you showed a man's head in the resin. So that would have to be a two-component process, the top of the head and the bottom of the head?
No, that was one piece.
Oh, that was one piece.
Absolutely. I mean, for resin, it's being used for so many things. I know they're using it to create bones replication, like dinosaur bones and things like that. Dentists are using them for imprints on jaw bones and teeth. And as far as filament goes, they're using it to create arms and hands and working parts for people's bodies. The best thing I can tell you is the technology from when this became something that you could actually afford in your home to now has jumped astronomically. I mean, we're talking, this guy has a 30 by 30 in his house right now, and he can print a full head, a human head, a small child on his printer, if you can imagine that. So I can't even fathom what it's going to be like 5 years from now. There's machines that will let you have 4 or 5 different spindles of filament and run them at the same time concurrently to print multiple parts on the same bed. The technology is growing. To say it's infinite is probably a little stretch, but we're going to see these become more household items for people as the technology improves. The price is going down.
I do know back in roughly 2015, that's around, I believe, when 3D printers started really coming out. Basically, a printer a quarter the size of our Prusa was about, I think, $3,000 to $5,000. So, and now that printer, very reliable. I think it was about $800. So you can think about it, a huge price difference, and it's getting even more affordable. Ken has been standing before, so I'll answer your question after he's exited.
Thank you.
Are there other libraries that are, excuse me, go ahead, Tim.
I didn't have another question.
Oh, yeah, 2
It just occurred to me that one thing that is probably beyond the scope of your presentation, but something that I think would really interest the computer club members is that 60 Minutes on CBS on Sundays, they made a presentation about 3D printing. I see a couple heads nodding there, you've seen it. It is just amazing. They built a whole home. I'm not talking about something that's, I'm talking about a whole home. They can actually produce homes using 3D printing, which of course they want to use to build things on the moon and on Mars, 3D printers to do that. Because they got plenty of regolith there to use for cement and that to do that. But if you want to take a look at it, it's about a 20-minute presentation that you have on the computer. Go to CBS News, 60 Minutes. It is in October 3rd, I think it was. Or when you go to CBS, when you go to 60minutes.com, in the search box, put in 3D printing. And you will be amazed at what comes out in videos there that you can look at. They're very entertaining, and the scope is just a lot larger than we're talking about here. But wow, it is just amazing. Huge printers that actually build a home, and they show you how it's done.
There's printers that'll do full meals for you. They can print food.
Probably not very good tasting food, but
The other
It's
question,
McDonald's, it's all taste anyway. Got it off camera.
the other question I had was, how many other public libraries have done what you've done?
Quite a few. Maybe not to the extent of us. We have an Alex. That's our benefit. We have an Alex. Libraries, being that community hub and that creative place is something that libraries have kind of been, trying to adapt to, probably, I would say, over the last 5 to 7 years. And, I don't want to say we were late to the game. We needed to get a building that could facilitate it before we could do it. So we knew what we were going to do, and a lot of direction from the community as well to get it done. But to answer your question, quite a few libraries have this technology. Quite a few libraries don't have Alex, and that's the real difference. We know, when he buys something, we know it's the best it can be for the price it can be. He knows how to use it, and that's the difference. It's a learning curve. A lot of libraries have people that are in there that were librarians, and they're trying to learn a technology. He does it at home. I do it at home. It's something that's ingrained in us because we use it all the time. And that's something that you can't teach. And the more trial and error that you get, the more knowledge that you get, the more that you read, the more that you watch videos, tutorials, the more you learn, the more you improve. And he's our true asset. And we couldn't do it without him.
I know you had a question back there, sir.
You already, I was saying about the 3D houses.
There you go. Yeah. So it's interesting, right? I mean, that machine is humongous, and I don't know how it would hold up in a Chicago storm, but it's the technology is going to get better and better. It's really going to come down to the materials that they use to print with, and when they figure that out and it's durable, it's going to be something else. And our future, if it continues to grow at that speed and the pace that it has, we might see that become the forefront of technology. It will be a whole new way to build.
And kind of going off of what Ken's NASA stuff is, because NASA actually held a specific contest a while back for 3D modeling buildings or homes for Mars and the Moon to actually send 3D printers over there using the actual material around there to create basically like moon cement or Mars cement, and then having what we're currently doing with the homes to build, a home. So then when we go there, it's already pre-ready to go, and then they're able to start living in that stuff. So that's like the super end amazing goal for 3D printing, almost like in space.
All right. Any more? Happy to answer anything. Don't be shy.
And feel free to come up and look at the various materials and objects that I've brought in. I brought in filament, a couple of models that I made, and even something that's a much bigger version of how 3D printing works.
Yep. All right. Well, thank you for having us. Come visit us over here.
Okay, yeah, thanks Doug and Alex, great presentation. Feel free to come on up to this middle table over here. And here to see the demos and there's some free stuff there. On the end table, over